Welcome to the Becoming Sound podcast, where we dive into the tough stuff and try to find the humor in the hot mess of being an adult child. Join me as we peel back the layers on growing up in dysfunction, navigating substance abuse, mental health challenges, and everything in between. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Becoming Sound. I'm Krista, your host, and today I have on the show Natalie P. She is a connector serving healing curious humans with tools and classes and panels, and her podcast called Think Out Loud with Me. And at the heart of her business is an incredible community that she has curated over a lifetime of struggle and recovery. And it's her mission to introduce those who don't know where to start to potential mentors and coaches, guides and healers and teachers who can help them take the next step to the journey to self. And she is also the author of her just released book this week called Healing Curious Humans. And she's going to tell us all about that. Natalie is an incredibly authentic and raw and brilliant human being, and I am totally stoked to have her here with me today. So let's get started. So welcome, Natalie. It's so nice to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Krista. I'm tickled. This is, new friendships make me giddy.
Yeah, me too. Me too. That's the best thing about the podcast world, honestly, is just meeting people. I love it.
I agree. Yeah.
The human spirit, the human condition, there's just so much to learn. It's so fascinating. People are fascinating.
They are. Yeah. And when you can really dive into conversation and let things flow in an organic way, it's fun to see what percolates up, especially
100%.
when you haven't spent any time together.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not going to lie. I've been kind of binging your stuff the last little bit. So just on that note, and I do my introductions after, so we're just going to dive in.
Good.
Yeah. Tell me about you.
Oh, goodness gracious. Hi, I'm Natalie P. That's what my son and his friends call me, Nat P, which
Awesome.
I consider a compliment
Yeah.
to have any kind of nickname that includes like part of my real name. And yeah, just from 16-year-olds, it's good. Like we're good, right?
It's the best. Yeah.
I am a mom to a beautiful son, Cody, who is the light of my life. He is just an enormous bright spot in everything that I do, and I'm an author. I am a podcast host myself, and a teacher, and I like to say I'm a mentor for misfits. I did a really good job for most of my life fitting into boxes and templates and forcing myself into all the ways that the world tells us to be. And it's been in this 50th year on this planet that I decided to just
crawl out of it.
Get out of it. I would even like to make like podcast rooms round and weird. Like, can we like break this right?
Like the eggshell, right?
Just break out. Yeah. And so I've been remade myself so many times I've lost count. And I was just watching a couple reels early this morning about the concept of there not being a self, that from every moment that we are constantly reinventing ourselves and that we are never the same.
Yeah.
And I thought that's a fun way to think about it, because we are constantly seeking ourself. But what exactly, there's no end point, and letting go of like who I am truly and letting it just be infinite is kind of thrilling to think about. So
yeah, I love that concept, especially because every moment you're learning, right? And so what you learned the day before you wake up, it's a brand new baby day and everything's new. Well, it literally is, because some little tidbit of information that you learned the day before is going to change you in some little way. So you're
Yep.
not the same person,
Yep.
you know?
And your
Yeah.
interactions, like this is a perfect example. Like Krista will impact me today,
Yeah.
and I will take her energy in, and I will become a different person because of my this is a collaboration of human
Yeah.
spirit in the moment. So, yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting to think about, that there truly is no self that I'm destined to be. I am everything and all things,
Yeah.
and in motion constantly. So,
And it allows us to show up differently at any given moment. Like
mhm.
if you didn't like the way you showed up the day before or the hour before, it allows you to show up differently right in that moment and make a different choice. And that
Yes.
is like rebirth every moment, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, I love it. So what brought you to want to do all this stuff that you do? Because you do a lot of things.
That's an interesting question. I don't know any different. I have you ever heard the term multi-potentialite?
No.
Mul Multi-potentiality. Isn't that a
Yeah.
fun word? It's
Yeah.
like, so many syllables. And there is an author, and movement leader named Emily Wapnick, and she wrote a book called, You Can Be Everything. And I don't know that she coined the term necessarily multi-potentiality, but she really brought it to the forefront.
Hmm.
And when I read that book, I literally stood up and thought, this is it. Like, I have tried to be, the world wants you to be, all of us, to be a specialist, right? Like, what are you going to
Hmm.
be when you grow up? And you need to know, what is your specialty? What do you do? Where do you hang your hat? How are you in this world? And if you look at, what we kind of measure ourselves by in the US is this resume, right? If you look at my
Yeah.
resume, it's like, and it's
That's
like,
how mine looks too.
it's maddening to look at, and it's
Yeah.
maddening for the person that's me giving, because somebody wants me to say, give me your 30-second spiel, Natalie. Who are you? And I'm like, 30
Yeah.
seconds. So I spend 30 seconds trying to figure out how to package myself so that
Yeah.
you'll understand who I am. And most of the time I'm like, oh, I left that out, and that really wasn't what I like. And so
Yeah. Hmm.
I've like I mentioned, I've remade myself so many times over, trying to fit into the box that, and trying to find that specialty. And man, when they started talking about slash careers, like slash titles, like I
Yeah.
am
Yeah.
hyphenated titles, right? I
Yeah.
am an author. I am a podcaster. I am a mentor. I am a teacher. I'm a healer. I am a mother. I'm all these things and more. That really started to set me free, and becoming someone that, um, depending on the day, decided I'm going to write today, or today I'm going to, host a fantastic podcast. Just instead of it being about what somebody else needed from me, it was what I needed from myself.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to figure it out, though. I really am. I, the this writing journey, becoming an author and taking the lead and putting your name on the cover of a book has really, um, pressed me and pushed me to a place of being seen, out in the world, that
Hmm.
I'm not going to lie, has been at times pretty uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Like, okay, now here you are. Ooh! What if I don't, like, what if I wanna go hide? Now
Yeah.
I've put it up there, I've put it out there, and we're taught to own it and stand up in it. And there's times when it's like, oh, I'm not in the mood, right? I'm
Yeah.
just
It's like you got to be that person all the
all
time.
the time.
Yeah, in the
Yeah.
spotlight. Yeah.
Yeah. So, still trying to figure it out. And knowing that with a good number of years ahead of me, I think I've got another 40 or 50 years in me. Man, that's
Mhm.
a lot of time to get some fun things figured out,
Right?
right?
I love it. It's like I'm 55. So this is like the time when everyone thinks, "Oh, it's too late. It's too late. I'm older now. I should be thinking about retirement and like, can I start something new or can I reinvent myself or whatever the case is?" And like you, I've come to this place now where I'm like, man, I have a whole lifetime. And what like amazing things are going to happen in this phase, this season of my life. Like I did same thing. I put myself in a box. I did all the things and for so many other people. And I was always trying to figure out who I was. And now I just get to experience it and figure that out every day.
Mhm.
And this is
Mhm.
way more fun than the other stuff was.
Mhm.
It's so
Mhm.
much more fun. Yeah.
I recently met a woman. I hosted a wellness event here. I live in Loveland, Colorado, which is about 45 minutes north of Denver,
Yeah.
and had a wellness event. One of our keynote speakers was a woman named Anne, and she talked about when retirement was introduced. We didn't have as long a lifespan, right? And the concept was that we were sunsetting. We were we were coming down in our abilities. We were coming off of, and it was
Mhm.
time for rest, and it was time to cruise into, frankly, death. Like retire, like take it easy.
Yeah.
Your next step is, not too far off. And
Yeah.
so like and she introduced the term preferment, which was this
Mm.
concept that we have in our day and age at 50, 55. Are you kidding me? I am fired up. I
Yeah.
have built and built and built, and I'm not looking at going down. I am at this point looking at an entire sea of options, right?
Yeah.
And I now have the experience and the know-how and the contacts and the community and the spirit to continue forward. And boy, you're not going to stop me now. In fact, now I'm going to do everything that I love, and I'm
Yeah.
going to lead with my spirit and lead with my heart and put myself out there in a much different way because I've gotten rid of back to the box. I'm done with the box. That was the first
Yes.
part of my life. Now giving of myself, coming back home to myself is something that I can celebrate and that can lead me, yeah, forward rather than sunsetting. Like I'm not
Yeah.
sunsetting. I'm rising. This is sun rising.
Yeah. I love
Yeah.
that. I love it. Yeah. I don't want a sunset either. I mean, sunsets are beautiful, but I don't want to just get to a place where you're basically resting and waiting, right?
No.
And when you see that happen and it legit is happening, people die faster. They
Exactly.
cease to exist and live with what they have left.
Mhm.
And yeah, we're in a day and age where honestly, we're living way longer and and healthier. And why not put that to use? Like,
Yep.
yeah. Yeah, my
Absolutely.
mom's 79, she's gonna be 79 and she's still going strong. Like she looks
Good.
young, she doesn't act like her age, you know? And she
Mhm.
said, "Well, what am I gonna do? Sit around and die? Like, that's ridiculous."
Right.
Yeah,
Right. I mean,
yeah,
the idea that we will, like, newsflash, we all are dying every day,
yeah,
every second. We
of
are
course.
getting closer. But the fear of it and the waiting for it, I'm not going to. I'm not going to close myself to the concept of it. I think that the idea of opening up to the potential of what is in store over the next many years that I have, is like, I'm going to live now. I'm going to live in this moment and make
Yeah.
the absolute most of it that I possibly can. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's really all we have anyways, is this moment, isn't it?
Boy, in this day and age, we have to remind ourselves of that, as we're, burying our heads in doom scrolls and superficial headlines that want to tempt us in more
Hmm.
directions than, ourselves. Like, we have got to stand firm and be able to stay open to life in front of us and creating the world that we want to live in, not the one that's being told to us.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
so.
Yeah. So speaking of creation, just tell me a little bit about like the power of story for you, because I know that's something that really drives your like just hearing other people's stories. What does that mean to you, and how do you really bring that out in your podcast? Because you do that so well. Like
Mm,
just getting curious.
thank
Talk
you.
about that.
Yeah, I think that I've always been a storyteller. I've always been Have you ever done the DISC profile?
No,
Have
I
you heard
haven't.
of DISC? It's by the Wiley Company, and I was introduced to it ages ago by a mentor, my sweet Andy Burgess, who's no longer with us.
Hmm.
But I'm what you call, I register really high in the I, which is influencer um, and oh, what's the word I'm looking for? We talk with our hands. We are
Oh yeah, yeah,
constantly, right. So D is driver, I is influencer, I believe. S is a service person, and C is compliance. So
right.
you need all four, right? You've
Yeah.
got drivers that run the bottom line, that are all about
Hmm.
results. I was the I. I'm high. I'm like, let's tell the story. Like,
Yeah.
how do we, you give me a bunch of numbers on a sheet. I'm looking for, oh, then this happened and this happened, and and the ability to tell story and to relate in story has been something that I've always done. Um, and I always wanted to be an author. I found actually, my mom passed a couple of years ago this month, and in going back to where she was living and coming across some actually just like a timeline of my entire childhood, I came across, and I happen to have it sitting here, um, my very first winter of 1991, uh,
Oh wow.
my very first publication. And the McGuffey writer was a really big deal. It was a big deal. And if you remember, it's in Ohio. Back in the day, you actually had to, the back cover, you had to actually submit your manuscript. You had to pay $7.50
Oh
for
wow.
it to be even considered,
Yeah.
and you had to have a sponsor. There was limited space. So anyways, I found this, and I wrote in 10th grade a story called Diodus, and it was this story of this um little troll. It was a story of a princess who was stolen out of her crib. And this troll, who was secretly a good troll, he knew what was going on, and he knew
Yeah.
that this was not going to be good. And he actually stole the princess back from the bad trolls, and actually helped return the princess to the king. And when I found this, I thought, well, I've always been a storyteller. I've always
Yeah.
been an author. And I just didn't have the courage to put my own story to share the intimate details of my own life story in a format that could be consumed by others. And I would tell it. I would tell my story verbally. It was what I call, it was filled with the high points, like the tent poles, right? Of like
Yeah.
my shock and awe. Like I could drop,
Mhm.
I can drop big words in your lap and be like, "Ooh," and this is my story and I own it, right? But
Yeah.
it was all very superficial. It kept
Yeah.
you at a distance, and it didn't invite any kind of, if you asked me questions about pieces of it, we could go into it, but I wouldn't get too deep because I just didn't want to expose too much. And
Like the feelings of it? Like
yeah,
expose the feelings
the
of it, the
feelings
emotional.
and the vulnerability
Yeah.
of who I actually am under all that,
Mhm.
not as a performer, but as a deeply um, sometimes troubled soul that has seen some pretty intense reality. And it wasn't until I got sober from alcohol that I really started to think about the story of my life. Um and getting sober was a big first step. I'll tell you that I did a really fantastic job of not drinking. I just stopped. I don't know if you're familiar with Michael Singer, The Untethered Soul.
Oh, yes. Yep.
Um, I just love him. I have got such a fangirl on him. So he talks about quitting smoking. He's like, so if somebody tells you need to quit smoking, you're like, okay, I can't do it. I can't do it. And he's, how do I do it? He says, you just don't put a cigarette in your mouth anymore. Oh no, I can't do it. That's just not, I've tried everything. I need the patch. I need this. I need that. I need therapy. I need all of this. And he's like, how about I give you $1 million? Oh, I could do, yeah. He's like, what is the if you know what it is that you need
Yeah.
to do to stop, it's clear that you just don't want to stop.
Yeah.
So I didn't have any problem. I'm totally generalizing. It wasn't easy, but I just quit. So I didn't do any program. I didn't do 12 steps. I just stopped.
Mhm.
It took what I did was I swapped addictions.
Right.
I jumped into just crazy amounts of shopping. I was high as a kite. I just didn't drink. That was the only thing I was
Yeah.
doing different. And it took another solid 18 months, almost 2 years of what I consider a dry drunk, right? Where you're still doing the same
Mhm.
insane behaviors and codependent, just nonsense. And until I just flat ran into myself. And it was at that time that I started to understand that I really needed to start digging into my story. I
Mhm.
hadn't dealt with so much in my life. My father committed suicide when I was a young woman.
Mhm.
My mother never recovered from addictions, and mental illnesses ran rampant throughout both lines, as well as addiction. And my own physical ailments of cancer and just different ins and outs of just being Natalie. I had done no processing, no in between the lines down into the depths of my story. And um, it was my podcast that actually started uh, getting me up and out. And I did it those first couple episodes from the basement of my home, and literally like, is anybody out there? And maybe
Yeah.
not. And so those first few guests were literally the folks that were helping me pick myself back up. My
Yeah.
Reiki master, my chiropractor, my astrologist, and it was in that time that caught I caught sight of a former. It's weird. She's married to my ex-husband's stepbrother. So we were sisters-in-law,
Mm-hmm.
and we were not close. We were familiar and friendly and sisters-in-law, but it was very, again, superficial.
Yeah.
And I noticed her during COVID online and noticed that there was something going on with her, that she was looking like things were changing for her.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw something in her and I reached out and said, "What's going on in your life? I would love to have you as a podcast on my podcast." And so we did this little kind of interview, reconnect, because we hadn't spoken in years. And she introduced me to a group called Freedom, Folk, and Soul. Um, and within a couple of months, I was on an airplane down to the middle of Mexico and went on an author's journey.
Mm.
And I spent 10 days with a group of a couple of dozen people, deep in ceremony and ritual and learning. We stayed at a place called the Dreaming House, which is right by the pyramids of Teotihuacan.
Mm-hmm.
And we went through writing workshops. We did everything from walk on fire to climb to the tops of the pyramids, to like just amazing. And at the
Mm-hmm.
end of this, we actually produced a chapter. We went back to our homes and we wrote about what came up and out of that. And man, that was it. It was
Yeah.
like the seal was broken. I finally got to tell the story. Again, it was back to some high points, but it was finally starting to get serious.
Yeah.
And man, that broke the seal, and it's been going ever since. That was 3 years ago now, and being published multiple times, and now with my own book. Storytelling is a lifeline for me. It's
Mm-hmm.
how I connect with the world. It's how I process everything that I'm doing. Um, for me first, absolutely for me
Yeah.
first, with the hope that if I can tell a story that connects, if I can one sentence give someone hope and let them know that they're not alone, and that we do this healing, and we do this, all of this curiosity and all of this wonder of being human, we do this together. Um, we've been taught
Mm-hmm.
to be fiercely independent. I believe we are fiercely interdependent, and we need one another. We need folks in community with us, just like this, to be able
Yeah.
to visit and be alive and be perfectly messy in all of our ways. So,
Yeah. I love that. And I honestly can relate so much because I've only been doing this podcast for just over a year. And, when I started it, it was really, I had all these, big fluffy hopes of helping other people and talking about addiction and what it's like to live with it and grow up in it and all this stuff. And the reality of it was for me. Like, I really started to heal when I started to talk, and I started to take that intellectualization that I had done for so long and connect it to my heart. And the more people talked and the more I listened to their story, the more I realized that I was just in a big old therapy session every time. And I even said that to one lady. I had her on. She's a psychologist. I'm like, I feel like I should pay you. Like, thank you so much for the therapy. But this is a weekly thing for me.
hmm
This is the crack. It was, the addiction part with my son was just the crack that needed to open. What really has come with it is exactly what you just said, is the community, the people, the connection within myself, I love it. I love the, the growth it has brought in me first.
hmm
And if it has helped someone else, hallelujah, that's the best part, right?
hmm
But for
hmm
me, it's this deeply personal healing thing. And regardless of what people are talking about, I'm getting something for me out of it.
Yep.
And I hope that they're getting something for them too. But
hmm
yeah, that kind of awakening within the soul to be able to do this kind of work, because putting your shit out there isn't easy. It's tough talking about the messy stuff and remembering to not just stay up here with it, but to like connect the two, right?
Yep. Yep.
So I absolutely
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah. It's our generation, as you know, I think part of the beauty of what we're leading by example with storytelling. Um, I think about my mom, my grandmother. I'm writing in another book with a good friend and talking about my foremothers
Mm-hmm.
and the wisdom of my foremothers and the concept that I, if we go back, I read this recently. My grandmother, your grandmother, your mom's mom,
Yeah.
had your mom in her womb. I'm making some assumptions.
Yeah.
Had your mother in her womb, and because your mother only produced a certain number of eggs in her
Mm-hmm.
lifetime, and those eggs were inside her at a certain moment of time, your grandmother was holding 2 additional generations in
Yeah.
her belly at once. And the intuition that passes in from womb to womb to womb is absolutely mind-boggling.
Yeah.
Mind-boggling to think. I have goosies up and
I
down my
know. Me
whole
too.
body.
It's insane
So
to think about it that way.
tapping into that brilliance that
Yeah.
has, and the brilliance and the bittersweetness of it, because we as women today now tapping into that intuition, and that's where I'm trying to come with this new chapter I'm writing, is being in my body. I've not been in my body for most of my life.
Yeah.
I wasn't taught how to be embodied. I wasn't taught how to get out of my head and into
Mm-hmm.
my pelvic floor. What? Like, we don't talk
Oh,
about
yeah.
that kind of stuff.
No.
We don't talk about root chakras and
Yeah.
groundedness and sitting on my sit bones and like feeling where my center of power is. My mom would like, "What are you talking
I know.
about?" And yet they I can sense them behind me in all knowing. We all know that now, in the now. And it is this beautiful thing of coming forward with our generation of storytellers and teachers, and now seeing our younger generations coming up that are storytellers first, and like they're not hiding who they are. They are
Yeah.
exploring with curiosity and wonder, what if I'm not, what is this black or white world that we no,
Yeah.
what, this is not black or white, this is all encompassing and beautiful. They will teach us how to continue to come forward with our wonder, and boy, it's uncomfortable for a lot of folks. For me,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
thrilling and fascinating, the space that we're in right now.
But for
So,
our generation, it's uncomfortable. Like
oh yeah.
for this age group, it's uncomfortable because, like you said, I was not taught that. There were never even words, you know. It was barely taught sex ed, for crying out loud, you know. I mean, I didn't just you were just uncomfortable. I was uncomfortable in my own skin for so
Hmm.
many years,
Hmm.
ashamed and just all the range. And I feel like that, like when you say that we have on a cellular level within us our grandmother and our mom and our grandmother, and it is when you really start to kind of breathe that into your soul, you can feel it. If you keep it up here, it doesn't make as much sense as if you feel it down in your body.
Oh.
And there was such a disconnect with like elderly wisdom for so long. And
Hmm.
like you said, now kids they're not shoving this stuff down because it's out in the open for them. That they have this
Hmm.
wide open space where they can just be whoever they want. And we're starting to bring that connection back, that that wisdom, that piece of the tribe that we were missing for a while, right? And
Absolutely.
I absolutely love that. I had a conversation with a lady from Australia recently, and she was talking so much about that interweaving of this wisdom that we've kind of lost, and now we're starting to see that it can come back. It can come back. Even in
Absolutely.
Native Americans, especially like here in Alberta, we have a really strong Native American presence, and just the powwows and the gathering of these people again, and not just in their own little tribe, but people from the outside want to be a part of that because they're
Hmm.
starting to make that connection about this wisdom that we're carrying, and that we can start passing on and start sharing with people who are younger than us, and or my daughters, and really helping them understand that connection within
Hmm.
themselves.
Hmm.
And
It's
yeah,
a thrill to learn. It's a thrill to learn from my son. He teaches me
yeah. Oh,
and
yeah.
and shows me new ways of thinking about things that, we can say, "Oh, I wish I had had that with my." But I believe too that my mother and my grandmother and all of my foremothers, and on my father's side as well. This right here is my grandma's swimsuit
Oh,
um,
that's
from
awesome.
the. I don't know. I make up the year every time somebody asks me. They're like, "So what year was that?" I'm like, "I don't know. It was like the 50s or 60s, or I don't know. Maybe it
Yeah.
was the 70s, or maybe it was the 40s. I don't know." But that they are, in fact, learning and expanding with us.
Yeah.
Did my sweet grandma Sue, um, you know, i- had she would she have, who knows what would have happened between her and my grandfather, in today's day and age if she were a young person now, re-embodied, how her entire relationship would have played out. Um, but the point of it is that wisdom that she knows now, the perspective that she can pass on to me, and be with me in my own decision making,
Mhm.
is something that, like you're saying, it's a deep seated embodied wisdom that when we get quiet and we wonder, we can absolutely tap into. It's a beautiful thing. So yeah.
Yeah. And there's something to be said too about some of the hurt and the trauma that our
Hmm.
grandmothers carried and how that also gets passed on to us.
Hmm.
And the part I love best about that is that all of those wounds or those hurts are now being healed by me. And
Hmm.
because I'm stepping into that space for myself and doing that work, and I'm really just the growth is exponential for me as opposed to maybe 2 generations ago. That kind of growth really didn't happen, and
Yep.
so they carried those wounds, with them their whole lives.
Hmm.
Now I have the ability to teach my daughters and my granddaughters differently, or my son differently, so that when they have kids, and one does already, but when they have their children, those cells, those little plants in them are healthier and are a little more vibrant and with less
Hmm.
trauma than my grandmother or my mom, right? And
Yep.
so that is the beauty of that full circle is we have the ability to do the work and to heal that.
Yep.
And so our generations are going to be a little healthier. And I love
Yep.
that part of it. Yeah.
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 Yeah. That's the feel
Awesome.
good stuff.
Yeah. So tell me about your book. Tell me about your new book because it just got released how long ago? Couple or last
Yeah, and it came out on Tuesday, on Amazon Kindle and paperback, and it has, we're still sitting at the top of a couple categories, which is like it's fun and
I
like,
saw that.
wow. I'm like, yeah, it's like we did that. So
Yeah.
I say we because I am lead author. My publisher, Laura DeFranco, is with Brave Healer Productions.
Okay.
And it's an expert collaboration. So back in January, after I turned 50 in December, and I said, to heck, I'm doing it all. I'm going to sign the book contract. I'm signing the speaking coach. I am doing it, right?
Yeah.
And so by January, I was looking for the folks that would join me. And I have 19 other just brilliant souls. And
Amazing.
in June, we went into our container, and we spent the month of June writing our chapters and producing the tool that we wanted to leave behind. And what has come out of it is just, I mean, the topics and the absolute just divine from every direction sprinkling of just brilliance that is this book is it's I've read it so many times. I finally, in the last pass through, read it as a human,
Yes.
soaking in other people, and including my own, but especially the other 19, really just soaking in the brilliance of bravery and what it means to be courageous and tell the story that sets you free.
Got it.
We have we've got we have really hard to swallow topics of
Okay.
suicidality and early abortions and mental illness, and just some stuff that's like, it's heavy. There's some heavier chapters. There's also brilliance seems to be my word today. There's also moments of just absolute triumph, and the tools that folks have left are just, the idea is that curiosity may have. I personally got tisk-tisked a lot for asking too many questions when I was a young person. It was like, Natalie, girl, ease up, right? Um, this is saying, curiosity is what holds up the torchlight and says, what if? Curiosity says, this is my shadow, and there's got to be gold in here. Where is the purpose in my pain? What is the gold in, the mess? Like, it's alchemy. It's taking the really heavy, dense, what sometimes feels like it'll swallow you whole, and speaking words into it, being witnessed around it, and watching the brilliance of the lesson and the triumph and the spirit, the human spirit coming forth to say, I am resilient, I am stronger than I ever have been, and I am going to teach by my words. And so it has been an enormous week. We've had dance parties to celebrate our launch. We've heard, like, from all over the place. I've got actually a couple of authors in Canada. Like, we've got the world covered, and the reception has been just tremendous. It really has been tremendous. Stories, tools, and community for healing curious humans.
That's amazing.
Which is a mouthful, but it has been an absolute delight to put this out into the world. Yeah, just a really a marquee moment of my life, I want to say.
That's amazing. Well, congratulations. I can't wait to read it. I haven't, but I did find it on Amazon, and it was #1 bestseller on Amazon, which is so incredible. That's awesome. So happy for you.
Yeah,
so happy
thank
for
you.
you. So tell me something that you have coming up that lights you up.
Oh, goodness. I have, this this is going to be an interesting answer. It's not a non-answer, but this is truthful. Are you familiar with the pagan wheel of the year? Wheel
Yes,
of the
yes, I
year.
am. Yeah.
And so I am, as we come off of harvest and right, and I feel like harvesting and celebrating this book has been just and I the event that I had side by side with it has been such an enormous lift in my life.
Mm-hmm.
um Really, from June through really this week and into the rest of this month has been such a heavy lift. I am looking forward to winter. I am looking forward to the quieting
Yeah.
of life. I'm looking forward to longer darkness, which
Yeah.
I don't know that a lot of people can say. But
Yeah.
the rest is what's lighting me up. The chance to take a breath and to really look at and reflect
Yeah.
all of the things that went so magnificently, wonderfully well, release the parts that the missteps and the miscommunications, any of those pieces that don't serve me, to
Mm-hmm.
release that, to really go into the winter months, November and December and January, and really do some rejuvenation of my spirit.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'll be 51 in December, and while the world wants me to set, big goals in January and launch, it's not the right time for that stuff, right?
Yeah.
It's really truly coming into a place of rest, release, and rejuvenation in the next few months.
Yeah.
Um, let's get back together in like February, and
Yeah. Exactly.
I'll be
You
like,
know what? I love that so much, though. Not enough people, especially women, because we think we got to be go, 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 do, do, do. We do not celebrate the fact that we can slow down. We have time to rest. It's like you've just had this huge thing happen and now it's time to absorb, right?
mm-hmm,
They don't really absorb all the goodness of it and what's been happening. We just, okay, on to the next.
mm-hmm,
And you miss so much of so much of that goodness, so much of that stuff that you just want to soak in, but you have to rest and you have to, exactly like that blanket of winter's coming and it's just going to bring this softness and this soothness and this slow down. And yeah,
mm-hmm.
I think it's a beautiful thing to do and not enough people actually celebrate that in their lives is that,
Yeah,
that point of just rejuvenation and rest.
yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
Everybody's the seeds are the ground is getting cold, and you can even feel, the birds are shifting, there's things shifting in the air, and it's like I'd like to just stay with that natural motion of the earth,
Yes.
and stay with the energy that feels most in line with my body and my spirit. So yeah.
Yeah, I love
I don't
that.
know, 2026 who knows who knows?
Good things. All good things. I hope
I've
so
made a
too.
new friend
Mm.
in you though, and I think
Well,
I'll be
thank you.
looking forward to more of this. So
Yeah, me
I
too. And I
appreciate
can't
you.
wait to read your book. And I will have all of your good stuff in the show notes so people can go and get that book and reach
Thank
out
you.
to you and look at what you got going on and connect to your podcast, which is
Think
uh
out loud with
yeah.
me.
And it's just
Yeah.
about connection and community and just getting curious and is it always live? Do you always do it live?
I It's been back and forth. It depends on my
Okay.
mood.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
yeah,
just depends on my mood. Most of
yeah.
the time, it's live. Early on, it wasn't because I was so committed to monologue and
Yeah.
like getting my little You know,
Okay.
today let's just see what happens,
Yeah,
right?
I
So
totally get that. My first few episodes were so scripted and like, oh, I was so nervous,
I
just
was too.
hyper focused, can't do anything wrong, right? And now it's like,
And
oh,
now
what
the
the hell? If it
templates,
all goes
yeah,
to shit, it's good.
it's good. It's brilliant. My word, it's brilliant.
Exactly. All right. Well, thank you so much. You got any parting words?
Oh my goodness. I love to say, for folks to just stay curious, continue to ask questions, even if your voice shakes. I subscribe to the 4 agreements, the 5 agreements, and actually the 5th agreement says, ask questions, be skeptical, question everything, especially in today's day and age.
Yes.
Why, what if, and who and where, and just all of it. Continue to ask questions and then listen for the answers,
Mhm.
and pick and choose and leave the rest. That which serves you, take it in, and that which doesn't, leave it, and
Yeah.
keep on trucking. And please don't let anybody fuck with your flow. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, thank you so much, Natalie. This has been an absolute pleasure having you on. And I
Likewise.
love the light that you're bringing into the world. So keep doing more of that.
Thank you.
Okay. We'll talk soon.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for joining me today on another episode of Becoming Sound. If this episode resonated with you in some way, please share it with someone you care about. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button. It helps to get this information out to more people who may need it. If you have a sec, I would love a follow on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. While you're there, hit the 5-star rating and give me a review. When you're scrolling, follow me on my social platforms, and I would love to hear your comments and feedback. Have a fabulous day, lots of love and gratitude from me. Please note, the views, information, and opinions expressed during the Becoming Sound podcast series are solely those of the individuals involved. The content of this podcast is to educate, inform, and for entertainment purposes only. This podcast series and the content presented does not constitute for medical or other professional advice or services. If you are in crisis or in need of help, please contact your medical or professional provider.